tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang dhammang sanghang namasami. Suppaṭipanno bhagavato sāvakasaṅgho. Ujuppaṭipanno bhagavato sāvakasaṅgho. ñāyappaṭipanno bhagavato sāvakasaṅgho. sāmīcippaṭipanno bhagavato sāvakasaṅgho. Yadidang chattari purisa yukani yatta purisa pugala. Esa bhagavato sāvakasaṅgho. Ahunayo pahunayo dakinayo anjali karaniyo. Anuttaram punyaketam loka sahate. So, hello everyone, good evening. Welcome to another Clear Mountain Monastery Wednesday evening Dhamma talk and question and answers. And after this, we'll have our weekly Zoom session where we can continue the conversation more interactively. So this week, in preparation for next Monday, which is a Buddhist holiday, one of the three main Buddhist holidays that are found in Theravada Buddhist countries, especially Thailand, is Māgha Pūjā. Maga is the name of the lunar month, and Puja just means the veneration. So it's the day on the full moon of the month of Maga, Veneration Day, which is basically in commemoration of the Sangha. So each of the three main holidays in the Buddhist calendar are relating to each aspect of the triple gem. So you've got Visakha Puja, full moon day in May, which is celebrating the Buddha, so Buddha Day. You've got Māgha Pūjā, which is this Sangha Day. And then you've got Dhamma Day as well. And why is it that we consider Māgha Pūjā? What happened specifically on this full moon day in May that we celebrated as Sangha Day? It's said that shortly after the time of the Buddha's enlightenment, actually, just the following Maga, the month of Maga, after he attained enlightenment, he had already been able to teach at least 1,250 students, disciples, and these 1,250 disciples who had attained arhatship, culmination of the spiritual life, putting an end to all greed, anger, and delusion. Monastic disciples, they all convened without prior notice, and the Buddha gave what is called the Ovāda-Pāṭimokkha, which I think I'll go into more of the details of next week, so next Wednesday. But I thought for today, we can just go more into what it means to recollect the Sangha. Saṅghánussati is one of the skillful means which the Buddha gave meditators, gave specifically for, in one sense, for Buddhists, but you can make it as Buddhist or as secular as you like. But basically, Saṅgha-anussati is recollection, and Sangha is what we're going to be exploring tonight. What is the meaning of Sangha? So before we go more deeply into that, I thought it might be nice to actually just sit in meditation for just a bit, maybe 5 minutes, 5 or 7 minutes. And let's, for those who are up for it, experiment with the mantra Sango. So many people might know in the Thai forest tradition, this mantra of Buddho, the awakened one, is a mantra which is used by many, if not most, if not all, of the forest ajahns in Thailand for shorter or longer periods. In the practice of any mantra, whether it's Buddho or in this instance, Sango, we want to explore how to make this concept, this mantra, this idea that's being pointed to of the Sangha come alive. We want it to be apparent here and now. We want to see how it is timeless, see how it leads inward, see how it is applicable in our life, in our awareness right now. So, just starting with this mantra Sango, and let's explore its meaning of gathering. So it's typically taught as being the gathering of monastics, the bhikkhu or bhikkhuni sangha. But in its essence, it just means a gathering. So as you bring this mantra into the body, into awareness, see if you can yoke or conjoin, merge the two syllables, Saṅ-gho, with every in and out breath. So on the in breath, Saṅ, on the out breath, Do. And see if you can know this recitation, this reverberance in the area of the physical heart. So in the chest. Every in-breath with the lungs expanding, Saṅ. Lungs expanding and hugging the heart. And every out-breath, Ko, Saṅ-gho. We have Buddho as the essence of that which knows. Dhammo is the essence of that which is known. And Sango is the essence of that confluence, what happens when the Buddha or the Dhamma know the world. So this gathering. And even play with the meaning of the English word gathering, just the awareness which isn't constricted and confined, a spacious awareness from the heart that meets the world, that meets a broader perspective. Just gathering in awareness, allowing awareness to gather out. And if this is resonant, then allowing that's part of the gathering, that's part of the meeting of the mind in the present moment. Part of this inclusion of mind and world, inside and outside. Or if the mantra and the idea just are not clicking, that too is known in awareness. This is also a part of all the factors, all the phenomenon meeting in this present moment. So maybe entering into a bit more the discursive mode. So people can obviously continue with the mantra Sango. In fact, I'd recommend it. Any of these mantras are not only useful when we're sitting on the cushion, but can be very useful when we figure out ways to bring them into and through our days, through our lives, through our interactions, and even our speaking in between the words. You can have especially if you speak slowly, like me, you can have a few Buddhos or Sanghos or Dhammos. And this gives our life and our conversations, it gives it space. So let's dig in more to what the Buddha meant when he recommended Saṅghánussati, when he said that Saṅghánussati, recollection of the Sangha, was something which could lead to gladness when practiced well, something which could lead to a sense of joy in the present moment. And from that joy, it could lead successively more refined levels of well-being and happiness up to samadhi, and from that samadhi, seeing clearly. So this is the hope. This is, we are practicing Saṅghánussati not just for pleasant abiding in the here and now, so just from the joy that can come about when we recollect the Sangha, but with a broader purpose of awakening. This is the purpose of all of our practices in a Buddhist context. So most people are familiar with the Sangha as I've mentioned, this group of bhikkhus or bhikkhunis, the ordained members of the Buddhist the Buddhist order. So sometimes Sangha is translated as the capital order, capital O. So that's one specific meaning which comes up a lot. This is called the Bhikkhu Sangha or the Bhikkhuni Sangha. The word Sangha also comes up in the context of the chant that I did at the beginning of this talk, which is leading with suppaṭipanno. This is part of the traditional Iti Piso chant. So people who joined us for the New Year's Eve, you'll be familiar with this because you chanted it 108 times. But this is a recollection of the noble Sangha, the Arya Sangha, those men and women, these people who have attained the Dhamma, who've seen the Dhamma, who've realized the Dhamma on different levels. So we've got the conventional Sangha of monastics, we've got the Sangha of nobles, and in America and Europe, you've got this idea of the Sangha being group of laity, just your good Dhamma friends, your Kalyanamitta, your spiritual friends. And I think there are some teachers, specifically monastic teachers, who will take exception to that and say, no, there's a word for the fourfold assembly of male lay people, male laymen, female lay women, bhikkhus and bhikkhunis, and that's called the parissa. But the Sangha is just reserved for monastics, bhikkhus and bhikkhunis. But in the earliest canon, in the the Sutta Pitaka and the Vinaya Pitaka, you do find the word Sangha used more broadly to refer to any type of group. So you have the Sakuna Sangha, a group, a conglomeration of birds, or a Kaka Sangha, a conglomeration, a group, an order of crows, or a Deva Sangha, a group of devas, or a Uchara Sangha, a group of deities. So it occurs in these different contexts. So if there's precedence in the canon, then I don't see why there can't be a Kalyanamitta Sangha. I don't believe the word is found in the canon, but just your group, your meeting, your gathering of kalyanamitta, of good friends. This can be, I think, a valid sense of the word Sangha, or at least to explore. And so we've got these different meanings of Sangha. We've mentioned 3 so far. We've got the noble Sangha, people who've attained at least stream entry or above. We've got the monastic Sangha, bhikkhus and bhikkhunis. We've got lay Sanghas. But then we have what we were looking for in that, or looking at, experiencing, becoming aware of in the guided meditation, which is that which is internal, an internal Sangha, which is quite fascinating. So this is a principle. I've got it at the bottom of the screen. It reads that these are principles from the recollection of the Dhamma that we chant. And we can just ask ourselves, with this practice or with any other, how does this practice, specifically the practice of the Sango mantra or recollection of the Sanghas, how is this apparent here and now? How is this timeless, akalika? How does this encourage looking or encourage investigation, ehipasika? And does it, and how does it lead inwards or onwards? How is it opanayika? And I think that's really important. I know for myself, I had learned fairly early on that Saṅghánussati, recollection of the Sangha, was something which was supposed to lead to joy and which was praised by the Buddha. But sometimes it just doesn't click. If it just seems like a imagination, just thinking and thinking and thinking about the Sangha. But what I feel like this Sango, or this meditation on meeting, this meditation on gathering, in every sense of those words, how the mind meets the world, how the mind meets the body, how the inside of the body meets the outside of the body, how to gather the mind in a expansive and spacious space. I think all of these are really getting at the essence of the pith of this idea of the Sangha. So we'll be examining that, and we'll look at each of these different levels of Sangha through the specific chant that we do. So the first line of the chant, which our 108 chanters will know, is suppaṭipanno bhagavato sāvakasaṅgho. So this is often translated in chanting books as, they are the Blessed One's disciples who have practiced well. I've translated it here as the Blessed One's meeting of hearers who practice well. And I translated it in this way because it's both accurate to the Pali, and it does open up the meaning of Sangha to have this more internal, this more exploratory and first-person awareness, non-fantasizing, non-kind of imagination, non-thinking form, just being aware of that which, of the meeting, of the confluence, of inclusion. So the sāvakasaṅgho, sāvaka is literally hearers. It can also be that which hears or that which learns. So the meeting or the gathering of that which learns, that which pays attention. And that's the sāvakasaṅgho, which we'll see repeated 4 times. But this first one is suppaṭipanno. So patipanna, which we'll also see in the next 3 lines. Patipanna is basically practicing. So the sāvakasaṅgha, the meeting of hearers, the group of hearers, the order of those who pay attention, who patipanna, practice su, well or beautifully. It's a prefix su, like sukha, which means kind of like sukha. It means that which is good, that which is well, that which is beautiful. So in my mind, to look at the difference between, we'll see there are 4 different aspects of the Sangha that we'll be going into. This is the first. And I kind of look at this as one particular archetype for a Sangha member or an aspect of Sangha. So that aspect which is beautiful, that which practices well. So in my mind, I look at this on the level of the Savaka Sangha. Sometimes this means just the Mahasavakas, those disciples, those hearers who were alive at the time of the Buddha. The main archetype that I look up here is let's see, Kema, Bhikkhuni Kema, who is foremost in wisdom, and Sariputra, who is the bhikkhu foremost in wisdom. So wisdom is a beautiful quality. In terms of the living monastics, I think of, or within our lifetime, I think of Thich Nhat Hanh and the Dalai Lama. This is a more, looking at the whole Buddhist spectrum, not just Theravada, with this particular term, Su. And it's hard to deny that the Dalai Lama, Thich Nhat Hanh, are beautiful practitioners. And I'm sure there are many, many others, but these are just archetypes. And then who are our beautiful friends, our Kalyana Mitta? Just who are those people who can cheer us up? Yeah, our friends who we go to, our Kalyana Mitta, who maybe, have got a beautiful aspect to them, a beautiful aspect of the way they speak, like Buddha. He was foremost among bhikkhus, I believe, in speaking, having a beautiful voice. So who are our beautiful Sangha friends and peers and mentors and teachers and archetypes in both in living memory and in the canon? And then on the internal level, what is the beautiful aspect of practice? What is it internally when I bring awareness inside the body and know from the present moment, what is that which brings joy, that which is beautiful and good? So that's the suppaṭipanno aspect of Sango. In my mind, that's how I conceive of suppaṭipanno. The next aspect is ujuppaṭipanno, sāvakasaṅgho, the Blessed One's meeting of hearers, or meeting of that quality of attention, who practice uprightly, uju. So I think of this quality of uju, which is literally upright. So the posture of sitting upright is uju. You sit up with the body ujugata, with the body upright, direct, straightforward, going directly to a goal, like a straight line. And the archetype of the Maha Sāvakas at the time of the Buddha, in my mind, is Mahakassapa on the bhikkhu side, foremost in ascetic practices, and maybe Sona on the bhikkhuni Sangha, foremost in putting forth effort, or Kisa Gotami, who's foremost in wearing coarse robes. These are people who, even if practice is difficult, they just go straight for the goal. In terms of living memory Sangha, I think of Ajahn Man or Longpa Mahabua. These are teachers who are just basically no nonsense. These are the teachers who will just tell you straight for the goal. Don't dilly-dally around, just keep going. These are the people who you want to think about or bring to mind, or find that aspect of awareness which is encouraging when you're feeling a bit wiggly, the people who will straighten us out. That type of friend, or that type of ideal, that type of archetype. And internally, it's both the posture of uprightness, the upright aspect of Sangha, and the serious aspect of Sangha, of awareness. We don't want to make things painful or self-flagellatory, but life is short. So when that's the thing that we should remember, then find that aspect of present moment awareness, which can pay attention to that. That's ujuppaṭipanno, that which practices uprightly. The next aspect are the Blessed One's meeting of hearers, gathering of attention, who practice methodically. Ñāya is the word. And the archetype here, in my mind, of the Mahasāvakas, this is the ñāya, literally means methodically or having a clear method. This is the analysis of the Sangha, the analysis of analysis archetype. So Mahakachana, he was the bhikkhu who was foremost at taking a short teaching by the Buddha and elaborating it. In present-day living memory, we've got Bhikkhu Bodhi and Bhante Analayo and Ajahn Jeff, Ajahn Tanisaro in a certain way. These are the scholars, monks, who are able to teach and think methodically, think in an orderly fashion, in a ñāya fashion. These are your Kalyanamitas who are able to help you think through issues, think through your practice in your life. And it's that aspect internally of awareness in the present moment, which is able to see a stepwise progression, or is able to label different aspects of awareness. And that's an important thing to be able to cultivate and know how to tap into. And the fourth of these four main archetypes, as I'm framing them, the fourth aspect of this Saṅgha recollection is, looks like I've missed one. So is sāmīcippaṭipanno, bhagavato sāvakasaṅgho. The Blessed One's meeting of hearers, the disciples who practice rightly, sāmīci, or with integrity, those who practice with integrity. And in my mind, this archetype is just the well-rounded archetype. So of the Mahasavakas at the time of the Buddha, this is Ananda, someone who's just lovable. He's someone who's a very well-rounded monk. The Buddha gave superlatives in the Anguttara Book of the Ones. He has a whole list of bhikkhus who are foremost in wisdom, as we said, Sariputra, or the divine eye, Mahamoggallana, or being in seclusion, Revata, or the bhikkhunis who are foremost in being ordained a long time, like Mahagautami, so and then lay people as well who are foremost, these superlatives. It's like a high school yearbook of the Theravada Pali Canon. But these are the people who are just well-rounded, most well-rounded. So this is Ananda. He received more of these superlatives than anyone else. The Buddha voted him, or basically said that he was foremost in memory, foremost in being an attendant, foremost in, let's see, there are a number of things. I'm going to see if I can find that real quick. Foremost in having mindfulness, foremost in energy or resolution, ditti. So, he's a well-rounded monk. Of living people, I think about Ajahn Sumedho, just for myself, and I think about Ajahn Pasano, my preceptor, someone who's just, a well-rounded human being, someone who you would take your mom to see. Yeah. So not one of these monks like, I don't know if I would take my mom to meet Ajahn Mahabua, even though I think it would be merit for her to pay respects to an arahant. It might be demerit if someone just totally loses faith, in someone who's just practicing over strictly, maybe who, just according with conditions. So this is someone who's really well-rounded, the well-rounded archetype. So, and these are your your Kalyanamitas who are well-rounded, who you can go to for many different things. And this is the aspect of awareness, which is all around aware, globally. So just continuing with the chant, Yadidang Chatari Purisa Yugana Atta Purisa Pugala. That is the four pairs, the 8 kinds of people. So Purisa is just a person. A yuga is a pair. The 4. So this is typically understood. It's not actually the fourfold parisa. It's not, as it's usually understood, referring to male lay people, female lay people, male monastics, female monastics, but is instead referring to the 4 pairs of those who have, whether male, female, monastic, or ordained, who have, I'll try to count them out. So 4 pairs is those who have reached the path of stream entry and the fruit of stream entry, those who've reached the path of once return and the path of non-return, those who've reached the path of non-return, and those who've reached the fruit of non-return, and those who've reached the path and fruit of arhantship. Those are the 4 pairs that are talking about here. These are the 8 kinds of noble people. So Esa bhagavato sāvakasaṅgho. So this is the Blessed One's meeting of hearers, that aspect of awareness which pays attention. Such ones are ahuneo, worthy of gifts. So yeah, how can I give my thinking? So yeah, you can think about this. One way that this can lead to happiness is just a recollection of gratitude is for the people in your life, or the people in the canon, or the books that you're reading. So just, yeah, and how you can even imagine giving gifts to these beings. And that's something which is practiced in the Tibetan tradition of actually making 100,000 offerings. So in your mind, you're actually you're offering to Buddhas and Bodhisattvas and Arhats. And with your body, you're actually offering some kind of, might be a candle, or it might be a bowl of water. So you can imagine this, or just on the level of the mind ground, the level of the heart awareness. Yeah, how can I just give a gift to myself, give a gift to the highest aspect of my life, this awareness? How do I give a gift to it? Is by paying attention to it. And pahuneo, such ones are worthy of hospitality. So how do we serve as good hosts for the important mentors and friends, kalyanamitta, in our lives? Anjali karanino, those who are worthy of doing anjali to, those who are worthy of veneration. So you can practice this as bowing to your shrine, or bowing to, anything that's worthy of offerings, worthy of veneration. This principle of a meeting of awake awareness. And it is an anuttarang punya ketang lokasa, a incomparable field of merit for the world. So that's on the level of the Mahasāvakas. You can think about them, become inspired by them, allow joy to come from that inspiration. On the level of living worthy bhikkhus and bhikkhunis, you can make offerings to them, and it's like planting a seed in the field. So keta is literally a field, and punya is merit. So it's a field of merit. You're planting this seed through offering a little bit of sticky rice, or whatever you offer. It grows into awakening, or just your spiritual friends. Really, all of us are fields of merit, and this anuttarang, incomparable field of merit, really are the on the external level, those people who have realized different levels of the path. In Theravada Buddhism, it is possible to abandon certain unwholesome mental states, greed, anger, and delusion. It is possible. And it's the faith of people who have faith in it, that there are still people living who have realized that. And they're really the external, incomparable field of merit for the world. But internally, what is the internal, incomparable field of merit, other than present moment awareness right now? So maybe just leave it at that and open things up to questions. I hope everyone found something useful there. It's good to see people in the chat. Lots of anjalis. So this is the anjali emoticon. So anytime you press that emoticon button, you're doing an anjali karanang, an action of making anjali. So and doing it here, whether it's to your fellow practitioners or to a monk, it's great. So, all right, we've got Ajahn Kovilo is tuning in, or was at least at the beginning of this. So happy almost Māgha Pūjā to everyone. It's kind. Thank you, Ajahn. So, regarding your comment about teachers who encourages people to go for the goal, Ajahn Suchat is one who does that. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and there's so many. I mean, it's almost that's a bit of the flavor for many of Ajahn Mun's students. So Ajahn Mun, for people who don't know, was probably the foremost forest monk or certainly the most famous forest monk of 20th century Thailand. And he taught many, many people, and he taught in this very direct way, always going for the goal. And he really pushed his disciples away as soon as they were ready to stay by themselves. He would push them away, go stay by yourself. And he was constantly moving. He only spent, I think maybe the last 6 range retreats, the 6 years of his life in one spot. It may have even been just the last 3 years. All the time before that, he was constantly moving because he didn't want a retinue of people. So he was kind of self-selecting for people who are very self-motivated. And Ajahn Suchat is a disciple of Ajahn Mahabua, who's a disciple of Ajahn Mun. And all of them have this flavor of, don't mess around. The samsara is real, and the opportunity of a human birth is very rare. So thanks for pointing that out. And if anyone else wanted to share who they put in for these different archetypes of those who practice beautifully, suppaṭipanno, those who practice directly, this ujuppaṭipanno, those who practice methodically, the scholar practitioners, the scholar Sangha, and then this well-rounded, all-around sāmīcippaṭipanno. I'd love to see what people's thoughts are about that, so put it in the comments. Good evening, Venerable. Are we discussing favorite ajahns? Just clicked on. We are indeed. But with the broader topic of the Sangha, because next Monday is Māgha Pūjā. So this next question, what is awareness? Would it be correct to say awareness is the same as the present moment? I would not say that, because, the present moment presumably exists regardless of whether or not there's any mindfulness. Before you were born, there was the present moment, and after you'll die, there's the present moment. There's a present moment inside the body that is known by awareness, but once this body dies, and presumably consciousness leaves, then there'll still be the present moment. But when I use the word awareness, I use it as a word, perhaps Ajahn Mahabua, Ajahn Lumpur Sumedho used the word sati sampajanya or satipanya. So the mindfulness that has wisdom, or the mindfulness that discerns, it's somewhat, the way I use it is somewhat akin to just consciousness, chitta or vijnana. So it's just the capacity for knowing. In Thai, puru is awareness, that which knows. Ru is to know. So I hope that's helpful. And it's definitely, the way I use it, it's not an intellectual concept. It's not something that you have to rack your brain to try to understand intellectually, but is something which you just know. It's on the surface of everything, every moment. There is this knowing. So I'd say don't kind of claw at it, but just open up your hand and see if you can feel into it. Beautiful teaching on the different teachers one can recollect. That's from my brother, Ajahn Nisabo, who is, he's one who practices beautifully in many ways. So. Can you speak about the distinction between path and fruit in terms of the different stages of awakening? I know there's a variety of opinions in terms of how long the path lasts. This is very true. And it might be beyond the scope of the conversation, because it is a bit of a, just different scholars or different people have different practitioners have different understandings of this. So the understanding from an Abhidhamma point of view, an understanding from Burmese point of view, I think it's largely consensus, is that you've got one moment of path, one mind moment, which is something like, a trillionth of a second or something, according to Buddhist Abhidhamma, the philosophical teachings of Dhamma. One moment of path, when you realize the path of stream entry or the path of, and then that passes, and then you're a stream enter. And then I believe it's maybe even the very next moment, which is the fruit of stream entry. So that's a very specific moment, momentary understanding of these terms, whereas many other teachers just talk about the path as a path. It's something which has distance over time. So yeah, in that sense, some people go so far as to say that people who are seriously practicing the Dhamma are on the path to stream entry. I'm not sure if I'll go quite that far, but it's just a bit. If you want to, you could take a deep dive, just look on the internet. It's got lots of opinions. So thank you, Ajahn. Can you speak more about what path means? Isn't everyone who practiced the Eightfold Path on the path to stream entry? So that's the point that I was talking about. I can't say I have a definitive answer for this because there are teachers who I respect, both in the canon. I do respect Buddhaghosa, who's the author of the Visuddhimagga, and who has a very clear one moment, one kana chitta, a moment of mind, a single trillionth of a second or whatever, that understanding. But then, people, even practitioners who I believe might have stages of awakening, who do talk about it as a broader thing. It's not just this infinitesimal, I think a Planck unit is the shortest unit, shortest period of time imaginable. So maybe that's like a mind moment, but yeah, I wish I could say more. Good question. No question here, only expression of my gratitude for your time, teachings, and the community. This is from Blossoms and Bones. Beautiful name. And beautiful community as well. And this is really what I feel is at the essence, a big part of what recollection of Sangha is bringing up gratitude. So, Sadhu Bhante, I understand that any Arya of the 8 pairs of Mahasavaka, what about the ones having made the Dhamma Opanayiko, or those who have made the Dhamma lead inwards, but not yet Sotapannas? Are they Mahasavakas also? So the word Mahasavaka is usually reserved to refer to the living, the disciples of the Buddha who attained stream entry or above at the time of the Buddha. But are they Arya Sangha? Are they noble Sangha? So there's the traditional 4 pairs and 8 kinds of noble beings, but there are also 2 extra distinctions, a Saṅghanusarana and a Dhammanusarin. So these are those who are following the Dhamma and following faith. So this is another framework which the Buddha in other places actually suggests are these are attainments which you can't regress from, but it's not quite up to the level of stream entry when you only have 7 more births. Brief comment because we only have a few minutes, but Lumpur Sucitto fits all these in my opinion. Yeah, I think I agree. Nice. We got some names here. Ajahn Brahm practices beautifully. I agree with that. He's funny as well. Ajahn, in what ways can we observe Māgha Pūjā? Great question. Maybe Ajahn Nispo will go into that in his talk on Saturday. Traditionally offering candles, incense, and flowers to a shrine, circumambulating a Buddha rupa, going to a monastery. All of these things are done at pretty much every monastery I've ever lived at every year. Those are some traditional ways to practice. I'm just going to go through some of these thoughts. Ajahn Brahmali is well-rounded, so that's the sāmīcippaṭipanno. We've got Ajahn Ñānavira was extremely forward. Yes, this is the ujuppaṭipanno. Yes, and someone else saying that Ñānavira, he's a Sri Lankan monk. Bhikkhu Bodhi and Ajahn Brahmali are on this ñāyappaṭipanno, that those Sangha members who practice methodically. More votes, more votes for Ajahn Brahm for being kind and peaceful. Got Ajahn Amaro, Ajahn Brahm for understanding concepts. So that's the ñāyappaṭipanno. Yuttadhammo has been instrumental in understanding the Pali Canon. So that's the ñāyappaṭipanno. Ajahn Amaro, Ajahn Pasno are balanced, sāmīcippaṭipanno. Yuttadhammo is very unique, sāmīcippaṭipanno. Ajahn Kovilo and Ajahn Brahmavaro have been the highest in kindness and compassion. I won't take that too personally, but that's the principle of sāmīcippaṭipanno. And I can definitely speak my experience of Ajahn Brahmavara, Aya Brahmavara. If people don't know of her, just watch some of her videos. It just exudes this kindness. You feel better about yourself just watching some of her videos. So yeah, thank you everybody so much for joining in. And it's lovely to talk about the Sangha and recollect the Sangha with you all. So we can join our Kalyana Mitta Sangha over on Zoom. We can all post the link in the chat. And this is basically an opportunity for us to converse. So there's the link in the chat, and I hope everyone has a good week. Ajahn Nisbo will be teaching, even though he's, I think, 3 weeks, maybe even a month into his winter retreat. This is a 3-month winter retreat. He still will be going on alms round and going to the Saturday teachings. So you can definitely see him there, and we'll be back here on YouTube next Wednesday. So take care. Have a good night, everyone.